And I'm here on the set of What I Do as we try to keep in touch once a month at least with Robert Melnichuk, host of What I Do. Rob, how you doing?
Very good, Ron. Thanks so much.
I love the stories that you bring to the table on these episodes of What I Do, which is now a half-hour version. It was just a short clip within 100 Huntley Street, but congratulations on this program that's been going for a number of months now. Tell us about some upcoming episodes.
Well, Ron, again, What I Do is all about profiling men and women who actually sincerely believe that what they do in their professional life is their calling. And today we want to profile a gentleman by the name of Jack Newfield. Now, Jack is a businessman, but he's got this amazing heart. His heart is to help the poor get out of poverty. And so what Jack has done very successfully is built companies, created some wealth, and then what he wants to do is share that wealth to help bring those poor people out of their poverty. But Ron, I get faced with this question all the time, and Jack struggled with it himself, and it's this. If I have a passion to be in business, but there's also this pull towards ministry, meaning missions, how do I connect the two? And Jack himself struggled a lot with that basic thought and theme. How do I love business and love missions and bring them together? Now, Ron, he was challenged because through some wise counsel and through asking questions, people said, well, you know what, Jack? Maybe you need to sort of pull away from the business, go to Bible college full-time, study the Word, and then see where God's going to lead you. And so Jack followed that pursuit. And we're going to see this clip in just a moment, how he basically explains that he followed God, left what he did, went to Bible college. But Ron, the bigger question was this for Jack. What was God actually calling him to do? And he answers this in this clip. So let's watch this clip on Jack Newfield.
At that point, my understanding of what I needed to do was to go to be a missionary, and we had targeted South America. That's where I thought, in fact, I was going to go there without seminary, but nobody wanted someone to go to South America as a missionary without seminary, and so it became evident that I needed to get some training, and if that's what was required, I decided I'd do that. And so we went. I graduated with a pastoral missions diploma, and then you know, I was ready to go, only to then again discover that maybe this wasn't really what the Lord wanted me to do, and that happened through some counsel and advice from experienced people who were already in the field. A gentleman by the name of Pastor Les Harwood, who'd been a missionary for some 40 years in South America, became a very close friend of our family, and one day he came to see me and he said, Jack, I don't think the Lord's called you into that kind of missions. He said, you have gifts and abilities in business, and the business will give you a much greater platform, and you'll be able to achieve much more in the kingdom than if you go and do that.
Well, Robert, he just seems like a very down-to-earth, humble guy who's just like all of us. We struggle for what is God's will for my life? What does He want me to do? And he started getting some direction there.
And through that experience, Ron, Jack discovered that you could do both. In other words, as he was mentioning, you can bring business and missions together. And so God had skilled Jack with the skill to build and to be involved in construction, and became very successful building homes all across Western Canada, up into the Arctic. But there was something about Jack that pulled him to missions that helped him realize, you know, there's something of a higher purpose that I need to be involved in. And so what Jack said, it wasn't just business and missions, which simply is, I'm going to have a company, make lots of money, and support organizations, which he did. To Jack, it was much more, it was business as missions. In other words, he wanted to get his hands dirty. He wanted to be right in the front lines, on the playing field, and get involved in exactly what he was helping to create and build and sustain. And that led Ron Jack into developing and creating and building these sustainable communities in South America, where his heart was, because what he wanted to do was help poor people get out of their poverty. And we've heard the age-old adage, you can give a man a fish and he eats for a day, teach him how to fish, and he eats for a lifetime. And so that was Jack's heart, and that was his higher purpose. So in this next clip, we're just going to see how Jack really begins to explain on his own terms what it means when he says, I'm involved in business as mission. Let's watch this clip.
My understanding of business as mission in building sustainable communities is being culturally relevant, and our architect, Mr. Barry Pendergast, has been of a great assistance in helping us in this whole area of building cultural relevancy through creating sustainable communities, and what we do is we acquire land either donated by the government or in other ways, and secondly, to create a community life resource center where the ministry takes place, where we participate with other ministries, and then thirdly, it's actually a housing program that's affordable, that these people can actually afford to buy, and then finally, it's economic opportunity, which includes micro-lending and also other private businesses. That the whole idea is to empower these people to help themselves.
Well, Jack has such a big heart, and Robert, what a wonderful story. Just someone using his skills. God has gifted him with in business, in building, and just practical stuff, and he's just using it for missions.
You're absolutely right, Ron. It's so inspiring because it doesn't matter who you are and where you are. If you have the heart, God's willing to use you. And Jack just simply wants to empower people to help themselves. And he was challenged as a businessman, Ron, with the fact that there are over 1 billion people today in the world who are starving. And he said that can't simply continue. So he's doing everything he can within his power, in his calling, as business as mission, to eradicate that.
Well, these are the kinds of stories that you can catch on the What I Do that is seen on CTS. When again, Rob?
It's Saturday afternoons at 3:30 p.m., Sunday evenings at 6 p.m.